world's deadliest. I mean, that is a true honor that Joe Biden has earned for himself and his border crisis. But we've known for a while that the Biden border crisis was quite deadly. So the Customs and Border Protection keeps their own annual number of border deaths. And since Biden came to the office, they don't make them public anymore. But our intrepid reporter here at the Washington Examiner, Andrew Telly, was able to get some internal numbers. And they show that last year, so this will be the same year that the UN just released their numbers are, over 700 migrants died on the Mexican border. And this was a record high for the United States.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here today with commentary editor Conn Carroll. And Conn, let's talk about a recent odyssey from Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm involving the promotion of electric vehicles, and it didn't go very well today.
No, it didn't. She was trying to take a very simple road trip. She had said earlier in the summer that, look, I know it's very important that Americans want to be able to take a road trip in electric vehicles. So this trip was meant to show how possible it is. So she was trying to go from Charlotte to Memphis, which isn't that far. And she ran into a little bit of a problem in a suburb just outside Atlanta. The advanced team, she has an advanced team. Now, most families don't have an advanced team when they go on road trips, but if you're the Secretary of Energy, you do. So an advanced team went ahead in combustion engine gas-powered cars, and they realized that there weren't quite enough available outlets at this one suburban stop they were planning to go. So they had one of the advanced cars park in an EV spot, an EV charging spot, so that when the secretary arrived, she could then charge and move on. The problem is it was a hot day. There was a family there with a baby in the car who was crying, and it was sweltering outside, and they wanted to charge now, and they were very upset that there was an obvious gas guzzling car in their spot and not letting them charge. So they called 911 and tried to report this car to the police. The police showed up, and I guess there's no statute in Georgia that makes it illegal for a gas-powered car to sit and block or save a spot. Not yet. Maybe there will be after this from an EV charging. So they couldn't really do anything, but the secretary did show up, and there was some heated discussions, but eventually the caravan got on, but not before the police was called on the Secretary of Energy, which doesn't happen every day.
How has the Energy Department possibly tried to salvage this as some sort of commercial for electric
they're
vehicle
trying
ownership?
To say, look, we're spending billions and billions of your dollars.
They are, $7.5 billion on charging stations alone, actually.
On charging stations alone, to get more of these charging stations built. And of course, Tesla has built a bunch on their own. The problem there being that Tesla has their own adapters. As anyone has a cell phone or laptop knows, it's always hard to figure out which fits it with. Same thing with electric cars. So, but there has been some efforts to get Ford and other people to adapt to the Tesla model. But outside of California, this really is a huge problem for people that want to buy electric cars, and there's a lot of people who don't want to buy electric cars, but for those who do, the charging infrastructure just isn't there for people to be able to take long trips.
The International Organization for Migration has labeled the southern border the world's deadliest migration route. How is that possible?
Oh, it's extremely
world's
possible.
Deadliest?
World's deadliest. I mean, that is a true honor that Joe Biden has earned for himself and his border crisis. But we've known for a while that the Biden border crisis was quite deadly. So the Customs and Border Protection keeps their own annual number of border deaths. And since Biden came to the office, they don't make them public anymore. But our intrepid reporter here at the Washington Examiner, Andrew Telly, was able to get some internal numbers. And they show that last year, so this will be the same year that the UN just released their numbers are, over 700 migrants died on the Mexican border. And this was a record high for the United States. So, and this was, she reported it earlier this year. So we already knew that deaths were way up under Biden. And this is because, very simply, because migrants are coming and they're trying to go through the desert, and they're trying to go through area controlled by drug cartels, because they know if they get in, Biden will let them stay forever. And so that's the goal. Get to the border, get caught by Border Patrol. President Biden will release you into the country, and then you can stay as long as you want. That is the huge draw that is drawing 100,000 people around the world. And just as, it's dangerous coming here. And so a lot of people are dying.
There's reports that the Biden administration is considering confining those migrants to the southern states. how would that be possible? And, you know, is this not violating the rights of these migrants who most of them want to go to New York City, Chicago, LA?
Yes, all kinds of good questions in there. So one, this is unconfirmed reports, but I think it was the Los Angeles Times was reporting that the Biden administration, instead of having Trump had remain in Mexico, they're going to have remain in Texas. So they're going to let migrants in and then set up a bunch of camps where they can stay, but they can't go anywhere else. So does that violate the migrants' rights? I mean, obviously, yes, it violates the right to travel. But here you go. Are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. Under the Constitution's 14th Amendment, the Privilege and Immunities Clause, which includes the right to travel between states, only applies for citizens. And of course, migrants who illegally cross the border are not citizens. So actually, it would be legal under the Constitution to infringe the migrants' right to travel because they're not citizens yet.
It was a violation of their rights to send them to the luxury island of Martha's Vineyard, but not to put them in a refugee camp in Texas.
Apparently, I don't make the rules.
Conn, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more writing from Conn and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.